They don't technically need to be here.
Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Please rise for a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This meeting is convened in accordance with the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey. Let the official minutes reflect that adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by publishing a notice in the Asbury Park Press on Friday, January 8th, 2021, the Press of Atlantic City, and the Star Ledger, and also forwarded to the Toms River Times, Toms River Patch, and WOBM News on Wednesday, January 6th, 2021, and thereafter posting same on the Town Hall bulletin boards for such notices, and filing same with the Township Clerk pursuant to a resolution adopted by the Township Council on Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. The meeting dates have also been posted on the Township webpage. Roll call, please.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Here.
Councilman Kopp.
Here.
Councilman Lotano.
Here.
Councilman Roderick.
Here.
Councilman Turnbach.
Here.
Council Vice President Maruka.
Present.
Council President Gagan.
Here.
First item, the minutes of October 12th, 2021.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilman Turnbach, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Tonight, we will be honoring the Veterans Day Parade, the Veterans Day Parade Grand Marshals, Stephen M. Giordano and Ralph A. Morans. C, the 2021 Veterans Essay Contest winners from intermediate school level grades 6 through 8. First place, Kieran Kanuga from Intermediate East. Second place is Gail Abislayman. Third place is Samantha Fallon from Intermediate North. And on the high school level, grades 9 through 12, in first place we have Shannon Bryles. Second place, Madeline Hay. Third place, Libby Diamond. We also will be acknowledging Family Court Awareness Month, Extra Mile Day, and the retirement of our very own Zenon Nijinovic.
Move the presentations and resolutions.
Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Maruka, seconded by Councilman Turnbach. Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes. Council, you would? very own in-house veteran, Mayor Mo Hill, to present Veterans Day.
Josh, too.
There's a difference.
Is it different?
You don't want false precedent.
We're honored to have two grand marshals for our parade. And I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go senior to junior. I'm going to start off with Ralph Morantz. Ralph served in the Army, served in the 82nd Airborne. He was assigned to the famed 3rd Infantry Division, served in the Vietnam War and the Cold War. After he got out of the service, he joined the Navy, the right branch. LSD number 5, the Oak Hill, where he was an officer. He transitioned to small boat operations, participated in OPSAIL 2000, and on September 11, 2001, he received active duty orders for the national emergency, Operation Noble Eagle. He was assigned to small boat operations Sandy Hook. His awards, he's the vice commander of the George P. Vandermeer Post 129, American Legion, Toms River. He's been a Legionnaire for 34 years. His medals include National Defense, Army Commendation, Good Conduct, Overseas Ribbon, 5 hash bars, Coast Guard 9/11 Service, New Jersey State Ribbon, New Jersey State Service with Second Oak Cluster. He's lived in Toms River and his wife of 39 years. He has 2 sons. Both are members of the American Legion. Steve? Or Ralph? Steve. Steve's next. Ralph? Whoop. This behind. Our second Grand Marshal, Stephen Giordano, joined the Army in September 2004, served in the 82nd Airborne. After a 6-month tour in Afghanistan, 15-month deployment to Iraq, and then a stop loss, was honorably discharged in April of 2008. During the defense and subsequent counterattack against an enemy element, Spec Giordano was wounded when an enemy rocket-propelled grenade, RPG, exploded directly in his front of his fighting position. The RPG hit a tree. Spec Giordano was standing next to the explosion, propelled him into the air. He suffered concussive elements of the blast, while shrapnel from the RPG struck the command post building, narrowly missing the rooftop fighting position. He was medically evacuated. His awards include National Defense Medal, Global War on Terrorism Service Medal, Afghanistan Service Medal, Iraq Campaign Medal with 2 Bronze Stars, Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, Parachutist Badge, Army Commendation Medal, Army Achievement Medal, NATO Ribbon, Presidential Unit Citation with Oak Leaf Cluster, Valorous Unit Award, Meritorious Unit Commendation, Good Conduct, Purple Heart, and the Combat Infantryman's Badge. Combat Veteran. Steve?
It's just an honor and a privilege to be here. Thank you all. to all the other veterans that aren't here with us. This is for them, that for the ones that couldn't make it home. So thank you very much. We'll see you at the parade.
We'll have the head of the Veterans Commission. Bob, come on up. Oh. All right. It's us. Sir, there you go. There you go. You want the essay? Yep. Tell us about the essays and the essay winners. Here you go. Oh.
Okay, as you know, every year we do have a essay contest. It's through the VFW Auxiliary, but we, the Veterans Commission, we run it, and we go through the whole process. I do have a piece of paper. Okay, and what we do is, we reach out to all the schools in the area, Mondon, South, North, East, high schools, as well as the intermediate schools. So we want to make sure that we cover everybody. And we have our individual that pretty much drives us. We have a strict set of guidelines to follow. Each essay is numbered to keep the author unknown to the judges. That would be us. Please read each essay, keeping in mind the included guidelines. Choose first, second, and third place winners in each level, and place the essay number in the appropriate space. Bring this booklet to you, to the meeting when you come. That's us. This year we had, about 20-some entries, and the kids did a great job. And you already heard who the winners are, is third, second, and first. And if we have those here, and while we're getting that together, I'd like to thank the Township Council and Committee for allowing us to continue to do this for the kids in the area. It's our honor and pleasure, just like people talk about us serving these kids. Who knows what they may do, but some of these essays are outstanding. So this is what we have to look forward to. These kids do a great job. Okay, we're going to do... Yeah, we're starting. Okay. Gail Albisiman. Close? Was that close? For the intermediate school, Gail she was the second place winner, and with that she gets a nice certificate and $100 from the Township River Veterans Commission / VFW, and we thank you for your entry. It was excellent. We were fighting back and forth. We got that done. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. Move it back there now? Okay. Okay, straight back there. Okay. Yes. And the first place winner in that category is Karen Kanuga. Karen will get $150 award from us, but you also have the pleasure of reading your essay. Right? Okay. Here we go. But you did it. Very nice. Very nice. No. There we go. Okay, here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Every student in the country recites the Pledge of Allegiance every single day at school, but many of them have probably never thought about what it means. Do you know what it means? This pledge perfectly encompasses what we should do to be a good American citizen. What are the characteristics of a good citizen? Good Americans are grateful to live in a free country where all of its citizens are united, and we are all proud to be part of this amazing nation. A good citizen is a patriot. This means they understand the nation's history and they respect the flag. In America, we value our veterans and active duty military and thank them for their sacrifices and all they do for us. A good American's personal qualities include compassion towards others and tolerance of all religions and races. Good Americans also recognize that it is a blessing that we have religious freedom throughout our country and how it has introduced many diverse cultures to our country. They also follow moral principles with justice in mind for all American citizens. Good citizens are productive members of society who have developed skills and abilities in order to make positive contributions to their country. They are also active in their local communities and help their neighbors when needed. Good Americans also stay well informed on current issues that affect the nation so they can make the best decisions when voting. Good Americans take part in the government and are aware of what's going on. Lastly, as caretakers of this beautiful land that we have inherited, we should try to keep our environment clean by recycling when possible and never littering. Now you know what you are agreeing to when you recite the pledge, and it obviously has a very deep meaning that many of us never even think about. The Pledge of Allegiance perfectly shows how to be a good American, and we should all think about its meaning the next time we say it.
Okay, in the high school level, third place winner was Libby Diamond. Libby here? Okay, Libby's not here, but we will get it to her. Second place is Madeline Hay. There you go. Let you read that. You. Oh. Last but not least, Shannon Grimes. Shannon was our first place winner, but before we do that, we gotta do this. I'll move it out.
Being a good American. sounds like a simple task, but in reality, it is much more challenging than it seems at first glance. America is the most dominant country in the entire world and is very highly populated because of this. But there is a big difference between living in America and being an American. Being a good American is someone who strives to be their best. Being a good American is someone who is loyal and brave. Being a good American means supporting your country no matter what the cost. We have troops who risk their lives every single day to protect our country. They certainly know what it is like to be a good American, but not everyone does. There are many different ways to be considered a good citizen or American, but the best way to prove it is by demonstrating how much you are willing to give up for your country and how much you are willing to support the people who give up 10 times more for you. There's no doubt that millions of people dream of living in America, and there is a reason for that. We have rights, power, and freedom. The way we earn those rights are through the bravest men and women in our country, our soldiers. My great-grandfather was a World War II veteran who earned a Purple Heart and many other honorable awards for the service he did for our country. He was willing to do everything for not only our country, but anyone in need. I learned many things from him, and he said they were all taught to him by the military. He said there he learned discipline, honor, respect, bravery, and the courage to face whatever challenges were thrown his way. All of our soldiers are taught these tactics, which is why they are the best in our country. But I believe that being a good American means learning to do all of these things, even if you are not in the military. These men and women learn all of these skills and more, and voluntarily put their lives on the line for us. The least we can do is show our support and take responsibility by learning how to do these things as well. Being a good American. Everyone will differ in opinions on what truly makes someone a good American, but at the end of the day, the people who know how to do it best are the veterans and current soldiers, and from them, people should be learning what it truly means to be an American. Being a good American, despite the differences in opinion, means doing the right thing when no one is watching. Thanks should be given to all men and women across the country who risk their lives so we can wave our flag and stand for our anthem with pride.
And this is what our future looks like. We're in good hands. Thank you very much. Now we're going to move this again.
Okay, there's two other proclamations that are going to be given at a later time. One is the National Family Court Awareness Month, whereas the mission at One Mom's Battle, OMB, and the Family Court Awareness Month Committee is to increase awareness on the importance of a family court system that prioritizes child safety and the acts in the interest of children. And whereas the mission at FCAMC is to increase awareness on the importance of education, training on domestic violence, childhood trauma, and post-separation abuse for all professionals working within the family court system. This proclamation is going to be presented to them at a later time. And then the Extra Mile Day, it's a community. Toms River Township is a community which acknowledges a special vibrancy exists within the entire community when its individual citizens collectively go the extra mile in their personal effort, volunteerism, and service. And whereas Toms River Township is a community which encourages its citizens to maximize their personal contribution to the community by giving of themselves and wholeheartedly with the total effort, commitment, and conviction to their individual ambitions, family, friends, and community. Whereas the community which chooses to shine a light on and celebrate individuals, organizations within its community who go the extra mile in order to make a difference and lift up fellow members of the community. These will be presented at a later time. And then our last proclamation, I'm going to ask two of our employees to step up, Stacy and Cindy, for this next presentation.
Maybe jump back in. So Zenon Najinovic, come on up. I got it right? Z, as he was affectionately called, is part of our records department. It doesn't say on the agenda. Records manager, and this is Cindy, the assistant records manager. Z has been with us for 13 years from the get-go. The records department started in 2008, and he was here from the inception. You can't meet a harder working individual than Z, as he was affectionately known to all of us. Hardworking, dedicated, and loyal. He pretty much ran our record center over on Church Road. I could call him, and he would find a piece of paper in a building with 15,000 boxes. So we're really going to miss him, and we wish him a happy and healthy retirement. And I don't know if Cindy worked with him a little longer than I did, if she wants to say a few words. This plaque is for you.
You did a fantastic job, and you helped me do my job, and I thank you for that. And you're very
to thank everybody for the support, for coming over here. And it was a pleasure, a real pleasure. I had quite a few jobs, and tell you the truth, this was most honorable and pleasurable job with a bunch of great people in this town, in this town hall, working for so many years. And I feel bad that I have to leave, but time makes the big difference. So I want to thank the mayor, the council, the management, the co-workers, the friends, for best job that I ever had. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll take a few-minute recess with those of you that want to leave, not stay for the business part of the meeting, or stay, whichever you want. Enjoy.
Hi. Oh.
I got two of this. Yeah, they're good, right? Say what? You're good. Everything's good.
I think you grabbed my pencil.
You what?
I think you grabbed my pencil.
I got two here.
Nice, thanks. Just in case. It happens. Oh well, hold on.
I got two.
you today. I know. No, I met him up there, and we took care of stuff, so. Things, yes. It was a Tuesday. It's this and that. It's Tuesday, so it's this and that.
I think Tom was in, I want to say maybe Travis, maybe years ago. Now he works my job with, sometimes I see him. That's Mr. Sean. I've known Sean forever. Yeah, well, sometimes it depends on when he does have a, yeah. Like sometimes, yeah. But no, you see, yeah. Sometimes he's there early, sometimes they're late, sometimes all over the place.
Those kids leave. You guys all? Okay, we're going to convene with the meeting. Continue on.
Returning back to the agenda, item 7 is a resolution of the Township Council of the Township of Toms River, Ocean County, New Jersey, authorizing submission of the best practices inventory to the State of New Jersey Department of Community Affairs.
Move the resolution?
Second.
Motion was made by Council Vice President Maruka, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Next is our consent agenda. All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired on any item, that item will be considered separately.
Okay, I would like to see just a roll call vote on item E as in Edward. Does any other member of the council have any items they wish to discuss separately?
Council President, just item N.
N as
Yes.
in Nancy, okay. Roll call vote or discussion?
I'd like a roll call on Resolution G.
Councilwoman Maruka, you were interrupted. Was that a roll call or discussion on item
No,
N?
that's going to be a discussion on item N.
N is, okay. Does any other member of the council have anything they wish to discuss, voted on separately? Okay. Any member of the public have any item you would like discussed separately?
I'm assuming that you did hear me say G, correct?
G is in George, a roll call vote? Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. Item N? Okay, yes. Okay, seeing none, I'll take a motion.
Move the balance of the consent agenda except for items E, N, and G.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Councilman Lotano, to move the consent agenda with the exception of items E, N, and G. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Move item E.
Second?
Motion was made by Councilwoman Yurick, seconded by Council Vice President Maruka. Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
No.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
I have to abstain from this vote as I am a retired township employee. We can move to item G, a roll call vote next.
Move to item G.
Second?
Motion was made by Council Vice President Maruka, seconded by Councilwoman Yurick. Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
No.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
Move item N.
I just want discussion.
For discussion. Oh, before we vote. Oh, discussion on it.
Go ahead, Councilwoman.
Thank you,
Rukia,
Council President. I just want to go over a couple things. This is a road elevation project. We have done quite a few in the township. We've done about 6 projects so far. We've received grant money, I believe, for 5 of the 6 projects. And they've encompassed about 10 or 12 streets. Projects have taken place on both sides of the Barnegat Bay. This one here happens to be in the northern beaches, but we have had quite a few that were on the mainland as well. Mr. Chinkillian, can you just briefly go into this project here? It's going to encompass Harbor Court and Canal Lane, is it?
Yes, that's correct. We have all the streets mapped in the township that are no higher than 2 feet above sea level. My office was maintaining a list, residents are calling, so what we've been doing over the years, ever since the first 3 pilot programs, is basically a lowest goes first. They've been very successful. Even today, I spoke to some residents at 6th Avenue. They weren't flooded today. So that's really what the best method to combat the sea level rise and the nuisance flooding that we're getting.
Yeah. And how many residential properties do you think we have had? I'd say probably be up 100 or so, or maybe more?
Probably closer to 2. Like you said, it's at least 12 or 13 streets, and you put 30 houses on either side. It's getting up there. Okay. It's in the hundreds.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I forgot, this was the one that someone from
Yes.
the public had a question.
Sir, in the back, you had a question regarding this?
Good evening, Paul Williams, Broad Street. And there may have been a miscommunication. I said M as in Mary, not N.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, we heard.
Apologize. Well,
Okay.
what can we answer for you on item M?
Oh, there's a question and a concern is that, we're talking $200,000 of taxpayer money going to Hope Sheds Light for what, at least on the surface, seems like a worthy cause, to have an opioid response team and data mapping. But what are the qualifications? What's the real point and purpose? Because since insurance companies were mandated to pay for drug treatment since 2010, I think, the drug treatment industry has grown into a $42 billion a year industry. And that's all taxpayer money. And you can spit in any direction and hit a so-called drug treatment facility. And what's happened is that, and what has evolved is that so many people and agencies attempt to get in on the game. And not to disparage Hope Sheds Light. I know that they do great things, but they do that with solicited donations, and they raise a lot of money. Why would they need $200,000 in taxpayer money on top of what they already have? And that's just my concern. And then the question is, why is this being given to them? I understand that there was a bid put out about a month or so ago, and maybe they were the only ones that knew about it, but I know other agencies that are probably much better qualified to fulfill the needs of that contract. And that's where I'm at. Why is Hope Sheds Light getting it? And is there any way to table that at this point and leave it open for extra bids to come in so that there's more public knowledge and maybe more qualified agencies could be aware of it?
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we've already voted on it, number 1, so it can't be extended. 2, it's actually a grant from the Department of Justice. And what this is targeted for is to go out with some of our police officers when there's maybe an overdose in the field. I can tell you as an EMT or medic, after the person's Narcan, they become conscious-oriented, they can refuse any treatment or transportation. The problem with that is, generally, we're back a couple hours later. If they do go to the hospital, they do have the resources there to try to encourage them to go down that path to get help. But as you know, unless somebody really wants to change, it's very difficult. So it is a proactive approach with our police department, federal monies. Certainly we don't want to turn down, I don't want to say free money, but this money to promote that. And by, I think we all know somebody in Hope Sheds Light. Their work is, very valuable in the community. Their certainly heart is behind it, and a good program. Are there others out there? I'm sure there may be. I'm not aware of any, currently, but
Well, that's
certainly
why the
feel
dilemma
free to.
is that they're all over the place, and it
Yeah.
just so happens that Hope Sheds Light may have just been attentive to realizing that this bid was put out and was able to, probably I would suspect would have been the only agency to apply. But again, we're talking $200,000 in taxpayer money, and do they need that money? And I understand that the money is coming from the federal government and as well from the New Jersey Department of Law and Public Safety. I get that, but it's still public money. And what tends to happen, and I've watched this happen since 2010, is that some people and their agencies start pulling in the public money, and now they're flush with cash, and now it becomes a career versus a public service. And that's the concern that I have. It's just that, it's $200,000 going to an agency that's only going to fill their coffers with even more money on top of what they already solicit, a lot of money that they solicit and receive through donations. And I don't see that them providing this so-called service is really worth the $200,000. And that's just my concern.
Council President?
Yeah, and I'd like
Can-
to speak as well.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to know if Mr. Amoruso could explain the bidding process and how we advertise, and that it's not just a secret process, that
Right,
it's
there
public.
was, yes, Councilwoman, there was a committee formed with the police department with the chief, I believe Sergeant Mooney and Captain Miller, or Lieutenant Pashonsky, rather. And it was a competitive contracting process. It was approved by the qualified purchasing agent for the township, so it met all the regulations for purchasing within the state. But the criteria for the grant is established by the Department of Justice, so the Hope Sheds Light qualified according to the criteria laid out for us to accept the grant. So it was all done above board and fair and open.
I don't doubt that. But I also know that the threshold is pretty low. I mean, I'm a pretty smart guy, but I choose not to indulge in that kind of business practice where I go and I set up an organization or I set up a company and I dot my I's and I cross my T's and I throw a placard on the wall and say that I can do this, and all of a sudden I'm eligible to receive all this public money. It's $200,000, and I think that there should be a pause put on this
I
$200,000.
think there might be a misunderstanding on what they're doing, because they're actually hiring someone.
I'm sorry, just to be clear, I'm not confused about, I've been there, I've seen it, I know what the recovery coaches do, I know what the opioid response teams do, I've seen it in Toms River, I've seen it in other municipalities, I'm aware of it. And that it emphasizes why I'm concerned about this $200,000 going to an agency that.
It's not going to the agency, they're
It's going to Hope
hiring
Sheds.
someone.
It's going to Hope Sheds Light, which
An
will then
employee.
hire people that they determine whether or not they're qualified. And what's
Who
going
have
to
to
be the
be
threshold for those qualifications?
And then they're going to go out with the police officers.
Of course
on
they do.
calls.
And they do it.
And they have to be
They do it all over Ocean and Monmouth County, and I'm aware of that.
Yeah, and I believe those qualifications were probably spelled out in the grant. But with Hope Sheds Light, the 3 founders of that organization have personally lost family members.
I get that.
So it's, I don't
I
think
know who they are. I
slapped
know
together.
Ron Rossetto. I know
I think
Mr.
everybody,
Wills.
in the community, a lot of us know the principals or the founding members of Hope Sheds Light. So it was personable for them. So I don't believe they, slapped together a corporation to open up and start receiving grant money. And this was something that a senseless tragedy has struck all of their families, and they felt a need to do something. They have a lot of programs in there. Besides the drug counseling and the recovery programs, they have clothing distributions, food distributions. They've become an integral part of our community. And if anybody doesn't know where they're located right by the Presbyterian Church in Toms River. This is an organization, I think, that has shined in this community. Unfortunately, we needed an organization like them because of the overrun of the opioid epidemic in our community. But I think they're ones that really, truly do it from the heart and have the best interests of the residents of our community. I mean, some of them, Mr. Williams, I believe, might be questionable. I do not think this organization could be in that category at all. Knowing the gentlemen that run it, knowing the people there, and working with them at different events and functions. And I'd rather see this $200,000 grant be given to one of our organizations here in Toms River instead of no one from Toms River applying for it. And our police department is an integral part of this. And that also gives me a sense of, comfort in that everything was done correctly. And if this was the one that won the competitive bid, they probably did everything right and deserved it. I don't believe it was just handed out because it's an organization within our community. But that's just my personal opinion there, but that's also my personal opinion about the founders of Hope Shed Light and their families.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, is there any other further discussion on item N,
Nope.
as in Nancy?
Can I move item N?
Certainly, we'll take a motion.
Is that M or N?
M was already moved in the consent agenda.
Okay, so we're going to N.
We're going to N.
Motion made by Council Vice President Maruka, second by Councilwoman Yurick. Council Vice President Maruka.
Yes.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Yes.
Councilman Kopp.
Yes.
Councilman Lotano.
Yes.
Councilman Roderick.
Yes.
Councilman Turnbach.
Yes.
Council President Gagan.
Yes.
We do not have any reports tonight, so we move on to the bills.
Move the bill list.
Second.
Motion made by Councilman Turnbach, second by Councilman Kopp. Councilman Turnbach.
Abstain from PO 21-05552, payable to Toms River Magistrates. PO 21-00653, 21-05121, 21-05391, payable to law office of Siddle, Holzaffel, and Zabarski. Also abstain from PO 21-05435 and 21-05436, payable to law office of Dasty McGuckin. I'm a local attorney in town. I have conflicts with those three. Yes to the balance.
Councilman Kopp.
I need to abstain from the following: 21-02398, payable to the Board of Fire Commissioners, District 2. 21-05544, payable to Sylvan and First Aid. 21-05298, payable to the Borough of South Toms River. Yes to the balance.
Councilwoman Yurick.
Abstain from PO 21-05552, line item 18, only as it pertains to recreation salaries, and yes to the balance.
Councilman Lotano.
I have no abstentions tonight. I vote yes to the entirety.
Councilman Roderick.
Voting no to PO 21-05435 and PO 21-05436, payable to Dasty, Murphy, and McGuckin. Yes to the balance.
Council Vice President Maruka.
Abstain to PO 21-05435 and 21-05436, payable to Dasty McGuckin, Attorney at Law, and 21-05373 and 21-05512, payable to NJMVC, and 21-05552, Toms River Payroll, item 99. In regard to the NJMVC lease program, I have a conflict. Yes to the balance.
And Council President Gagan.
Just have a couple abstentions. One is to the Board of Fire Commissioners, District 2, Purchase Order 21-02398, and Sylvan First Aid 21-05544, and then a third to United Healthcare, that retirement package that covers retired township employees, which I am one. That Purchase Order 21-05430, yes to the balance.
And next, we have elected officials' comments.
Mayor Hill.
Thank you, Council President. After almost 2 years of the COVID pandemic that's affected many of our friends and families who have lost loved ones, we cannot thank our first responders enough who have supported our community through this trying period, and also the treatments and vaccines that they have developed that have started to mitigate the effects of this disease. We're finally starting to see some signs of return to normalcy. One of them will be this Saturday, the Halloween parade by Volunteer Fire Company Number 1. It's their 82nd parade. It's the second largest one in the country, only outdone by the parade in Greenwich Village. Parade starts at sundown. It'll come down Main Street, turn left onto Washington Street, cross over Town Hall. Everyone's invited to come out, view the parade. However, get there early because spots are few and far between, so you want to get a good location. Trick-or-treating will be October 31st, which is a Sunday. I know the kids are looking forward to it this year, the trick-or-treat, so let's all be safe and have fun. We're a week away from Election Day, and again, I want to encourage all our residents to support local question number 1, which is a 1-cent increase in the open space tax. Overdevelopment's been a hot-button issue in the recent elections. This is our chance to really do something about it. Our open space fund is in need of replenishment, and this will allow us to purchase open space and hopefully mitigate any mandates coming down from our round 4 of affordable housing, which has been driving most of the development in the northern section of town. The only way we're going to be able to prevent overdevelopment is if the residents come out and vote yes on local question number 1. So again, I can't stress enough, we need your support. We're in the election season, so you're going to be getting a lot of misinformation in your flyers. In the 2 years since I've had the honor of being your mayor, we, the majority of the council and my administration, have made remarkable progress in improving the quality of life of our residents in Toms River. We've done this in the face of many challenges, the global pandemic, cuts in funding from Trenton, and threat of a lawsuit from the DOJ. Some of our accomplishments have been $2.1 million reduction in payroll, $2 million savings in employee health insurance, 0 tax increase. We repositioned an EMS ambulance on the Barrier Island over the summer to reduce our response time in emergencies. We have the response time under 5 minutes, which is well below the national average of 15 minutes. The VA Community-Based Outpatient Clinic, or CBOC, is coming to Toms River, which will improve the quality of our health care for our veterans, create new jobs for our residents, and support economic growth in Toms River. Purchase of the Surf Club in partnership with the state and the county will preserve open space in probably the most densely populated area of Toms River, Ortley Beach. Downtown redevelopment was recently approved, and that's been talked about for over 40 years. We're finally moving forward. The purchase of the Boy Scout building on Route 571 will allow us to consolidate our Camp Albacondo property with the township and the county and add to our Winding River Park, preserving that property from overdevelopment and increasing the recreational use for our residents. And in addition, the DOJ consent agreement, which preserved our zoning laws, allows no houses of worship on residential streets and prevented millions of dollars in fines. The DOJ originally wanted houses of worship on 1-acre lots throughout the township, and our decree with the DOJ prevented that. And finally, the weekly distributions for every Friday for the last year and a half have been distributing food to those in need in Toms River and the surrounding communities. As you get these flyers, I'd like you to focus on one quote that I saw from Denzel Washington. You'll never be criticized by someone who does more than you. You'll always be criticized by someone doing less than you. And that's all I have for tonight.
Councilman Roderick.
I just wanted to thank the teachers and the parents who put on the band competition this week. Fantastic job. Kids had a great time. Bands from all over the state. They did a wonderful job. And I wanted to wish everyone a happy Halloween and remind everyone that it's important to stay well lit at night, prevent accidents and stay visible. That's all I have for this evening.
Councilman Latano.
Thank you, Council President. I wanted to also talk about the Halloween parade, since we are kind of famous for the Halloween parade. It is Saturday at 7 p.m. The weather does not look perfect for it, so I'm hoping that it holds out. I believe there's a rain date for Monday, November 1st. I'm hoping for Saturday. I want to thank the Toms River Fire Department number 1 for putting on that wonderful Halloween parade. It's fantastic. Looking forward to it, to be there with my family. Also, you may have noticed when you walk around downtown, there's a bunch of scarecrows that are zip tied to poles. It's a competition they do every year that the bid puts on. There's probably about 15 or 18 different scarecrows. You vote on the winners, so you can go into pretty much most of the businesses downtown, get a ballot, fill it out, vote for your favorite scarecrow up until Halloween, so up until the 31st. You return those ballots to the bid office, which is the shops on Main at 53 Main Street. My kids do it every year. I won't tell you what number they are, but I think they're the reigning champions, right, Marion? Yeah? All right, good. Thank you. That's all I have for tonight.
Very good. Councilman Turnbull.
Thank you, Council President. In the past few weeks, I've had the privilege of working with some students from Toms River High School South that are part of Mr. Blessing's political legal education class, and I see some of them here tonight. And these students really give me a lot of faith in our schools and in our future. And you can learn a lot from them. I've learned a lot from them. So I'm happy to see you here tonight, and I'm happy for all of your efforts, and thank you. And for those that I've met that aren't here tonight, I appreciate all of your efforts. Our students are really the future of this community. And a lot of the time that we've spent up here on the council, we've heard about S2 and the tremendous impact that the funding cuts are having on our schools. And during the COVID process and being home, I had a lot of opportunity to think about that. And I try to think about ways that we can address those school cuts that aren't just sitting up here and screaming at Trenton to do something or criticize Trenton, because that's politics that gets you nowhere, right? The mayor talks about all these political flyers that are going out, and you think about the time, the energy, and the money that goes into writing garbage, right? And you think about if you just put the time and energy into what the public needs, a lot of great things can be accomplished, right? Really. And I had time to be home during the COVID process, and I thought a lot about the high school students and the grade school students, and began to create the 501c3 Toms River Education Foundation. And in our first year, we've done well. We've raised $30,000 for the school students, but it was clear to me in that process that that's not going to be enough to make a difference. So I knew that we had to go to Trenton, but I knew just bringing the buses down there with the students will have an impact, but we've got to do more, and we've got to take an approach that's really the olive branch and reach out to say, what can we do? In the beginning of the year, honestly, I had the privilege to begin to work with interim Toms River School Superintendent Tom Gianella. Now I'm presently working with Toms River School Superintendent interim Dr. Stephen Jenko, School Business Administrator Bill Doring. I want to give credit to Board Attorney Bill Burns and Board of Education member Jennifer Howe. And we began to reach out to Trenton and request meetings to talk to them about what our students need here in Toms River. And through constant communication in the spring, we were made aware that the Senate and the Assembly were going to attempt to pass what's called stabilization aid in the budget. And stabilization aid is designed to provide monies to districts like our own here in Toms River, S2 districts. So throughout the spring, all of us were in constant communication, really a lot of telephone calls, a lot of Zoom meetings with our state representatives. So come July 1st, that's when the state budget is passed, we're made aware that $50 million has been set aside for school districts that have been affected by S2, Toms River in particular. Again, we begin to call. August 17th, our application goes in to the state for the stabilization aid. And I can tell you that Trenton's probably tired of hearing from me by now because I've been calling them every day since our application went in, and I've been reaching out. And I'm pleased to say that tomorrow there'll be a major announcement from our governor with regard to the efforts of everyone I have previously mentioned, and it's going to have an impact on our students, a tremendous impact. I'll let the governor indicate what's going to be set aside for Toms River, but the point of the matter is great things can be accomplished up here and with members of a community when you set your mind to doing the business of the community and what the community really needs. And the community doesn't need the political mailers, the garbage that you're getting in your mail right now. Doesn't serve us anyway. Just puts up walls amongst people up here. But when you put your mind and your heart to something and you let them know, you can accomplish great things. So please listen tomorrow to what the governor is going to announce for our school districts. That's the work of Superintendent Thomas Gianella, Dr. Stephen Janko, Business Administrator Bill Doring, Bill Burns, and Board of Ed member Jennifer Howe. And I thank them all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilman Turnback, for all your work. Councilwoman Maruka.
Thank you, Council President. I just want to go over a couple things that are on the consent agenda. For our administrator, I know we had items E and F, and they were kind of intertwined together. F is the authorizing the township to join the Central Jersey Health Insurance Fund. This is part of like the JIF for us to get the better rates, and so we have a better buying power for our insurance.
That's correct, Council Vice President. We're going to be converting to Aetna for our medical coverage only, and it's significant savings over Horizon. It's about a $1.1 million savings. As you know, with COVID, healthcare insurances and insurances in general have risen significantly. So we did the best we could. Our broker did a decent job, and we're saving $1.1 million over the cost of Horizon.
Right. And then also that kind of dovetails into item E, which was the renewal contract for United Healthcare, Benecard, and Horizon for the health insurance for our retirees.
There's no change to the retirees' health care plan.
Okay. That's what I wanted to see.
Yeah.
For that. There was no change to their fund there, so that's basically staying the same, but we did have approximately $1 million saving.
Yeah, about $1.1 million.
1.1 million.
Yeah.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
clearing that up. And then also there's a couple events I want to talk about that are going to be happening. And ironically, one is going to be happening at the Hope Center. It's Operation Barbecue. Operation Barbecue has been with us over the past few years. It's led by a gentleman that lives in Toms River with him and his family. And they provide meals for people in need. No questions asked. They're going to be at the Hope Center on Saturday, November 6th, between 12 and 2, and that will be Operation Barbecue down there. So I encourage people, if you need a meal, please stop by. If you need meals for your family, stop by. Volunteers will be there to hand them out. And also another event we're having is on Saturday, November 13th. That's a dune grass planting. That's going to be held over in Ortley Beach. And that will take place at the southern end of our beach at the lifeguard headquarters on Fielder Avenue, and that is going to take place from 9 to 12. Those are the two events I just wanted to mention. And then also another event that's coming up, and I know it's going to be a couple more weeks. We have one council meeting prior to that, but it's our Veterans Day Parade. We honored our Grand Marshals this evening. We congratulated the students on their essays and awarded them certificates and some gift cards and things like that. One thing you could really do to show the appreciation to those veterans that are going to be our Grand Marshal, that Veterans Day Committee, and those students that did their essays, is attend the parade on Thursday, November 11th. I know a lot of people are going to be attending the parade on Saturday, October 30th for Halloween. One of the dreams I like to see in this town is to have as much participation in our Veterans Day Parade as we do in our Halloween parade. That's all I have, Council President.
Very good, thank you. Councilwoman?
I just wanted to mention the Clean Ocean Action Beach Sweep that took place last Saturday. We all really love going to our local beaches, and part of the responsibility that goes with that enjoyment is keeping it clean. So if you missed it this past Saturday, don't worry. It's twice a year, every April, every October. If you just go to Clean Ocean Action, their website, and you can sign up for the next beach sweep. So, and it's really a nice day. You just walk on the beach and you use one of those little clipper things so you don't touch the garbage yourself, and put it in a bucket, and they take care of it for you when you bring it back to the beach captain. So, and then in addition to the parade on Saturday, one of our downtown businesses, Exit 82, is going to be having a Rocky Horror weekend. They're going to be screening the movie on Friday, Saturday after the parade, and Sunday. And then on Friday and Sunday after the movie, they're going to be having a party with music and singing and food, and of course, encouraging you to eat and drink at the local downtown businesses, in addition to attending their events. So, and then also I just wanted to remind everybody that you could vote early for that referendum that is on the ballot at the Ocean County Library. I'm not sure exactly how early it starts in the morning, but it goes until 8 o'clock in the evening during the week. So this is the first time New Jersey is offering early voting, and the new system's really pretty cool. You should check it out. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman Cobb.
Thank you, Council President. So last meeting I talked about the upcoming Veterans Day Parade. I would like to really encourage that event again. The parade honors those who have given so much for our country. It's all around a great family event that is near and dear to me, and I hope to see a large turnout, especially that we were unable to have the parade last year due to COVID. Just to go over the parade details again, we did have a time movement. It moved from 9:45 a.m. on November 11th to 10:30 a.m. This was due to a conflict that we had with the schools. We would like to always have the school bands along with student spectators there. So we had a little bit of a conflict with the schools, but unfortunately we were able to make it work with that 10:30 start time. After the parade, there will be a ceremony held outside Town Hall. The post-parade ceremony will feature speakers, honored guests, a rifle salute, and the placing of the wreath on the Veterans Monument. And I hope to see everybody there. Now to talk a little bit about an item on the consent agenda that we voted on tonight, which was item E and F. I would like to thank the business administrator for explaining that to us. You know, I know the council was briefed on what that was, what we were voting on, which was north of $1 million in savings. And I have to ask through the council president, is there a reason why Councilman Roderick decided to vote no on $1 million savings on health insurance? And it's okay if you would like to vote no, but I would like an answer for it. If you don't want to give me an answer, I'll just decide, you know, I'll take it that you just didn't read it.
Would you like me to rebut?
Yeah, sure, please.
I'm actually glad you're interested in why I voted a certain way. It shows that occasionally you do your homework and you read.
Mm-hmm.
The switch to Aetna, a lot of the retirees are very upset. A lot of the folks that I work with are upset. There's been a push around the state where folks are switching to Aetna. This council and the mayor still have not gone shopping. You use the same broker, but you're changing providers, and those providers don't have the access, so these folks are not going to be able to see their doctor. And you would know that if you talk to some of them, other than just talking to the business administrator. So,
Mr. Amoroso,
thank you for asking
Mr.
me why.
Amoroso, can you
I appreciate you giving me the time on that.
Mr. Amoruso, can you please explain the percentages on providers that are going to be in that policy? I know we worked a lot with our different unions in town hall. We talked to a lot of our employees. I know I see, you know, our CFO was instrumental in that also. I'm sure she's very well versed on this too. But could you please explain the different percentages on providers that we're going to be seeing here at town hall?
Certainly. There's an analysis that the broker does, and it's inaccurate to say that it isn't shopped because council appoints the broker each year, and it's the broker's job to shop competitively and then to report back. So that's what they did. Actually, in this case, they went back to Horizon and asked them to be competitive, and Horizon refused. The MUA went to the Aetna plan this year. The entire county of Cumberland left Horizon and went to the Aetna plan. They did what's called an interruption analysis, and the standard that you have to meet to convert to another plan without getting into issues with your employees
Equal
is
to or
about
better.
85%. The interruption rate for the match for Aetna is over 99%. We rolled this out initially about 2 weeks ago. We told people it was coming. The broker put out a message today that I forwarded to all township employees. It's about a 4.5-minute recording. It's very informative. And then we're setting up another round of education. We really haven't had anywhere near the blowback that happened 2 years ago. But again, it's got a over 99% match. In network, which is something that people are always concerned about, we have over 2,700 providers that our members use. And there's actually an increase in in-network providers of 340. So there is a significant increase in network providers. So, of course, with any program, there's going to be individual issues. People have problems. It happens. It's insurance. But as far as competitive, this is not an equivalent plan. This is a better plan, and the numbers will support that.
Well, I believe I get a rebuttal based on Roberts, and
Thank you,
as
Mr. Amoroso.
as I had said, people want to see their doctor, and when they can no longer see their doctor, that's a problem. And we have never shopped brokers. I'm on this council for 4 years, and I've been pushing for that. I've pushed to look into self-insuring to save money. The school board self-insures. They save an awful lot of money. So saying that we're shopping by changing somebody's plan, we're not really shopping. You could give them the same plan and perhaps find that savings in other ways. But to change somebody's plan, again, I had 3 people within the last 2 weeks that I knocked on their doors, and they were upset about the Aetna, and they were unable to see their doctor. And I know they did that in my job, and most of the folks there are very upset and are having difficulty filling their scripts. They're having difficulty seeing a doctor. So it's not equal to or better. The contract says equal to or better, and we should have shopped for brokers. And I've been advocating that for a long time. So thank you for asking.
Well, Mr. Roderick, I mean, after hearing him, Mr. Amoruso, us going through all the meetings, I mean, he just said it, 99% same provider, okay? Very, very slim margins of what a person could not see the doctor with an increase in providers. I mean, continue with your no vote, that's perfectly fine, I mean, it's already done, but obviously, you just didn't attend any of the meetings. I mean, it's common.
No, I just explained to you. I just explained to you, but you can't understand that because you have difficulty understanding math and simple figures and simple things like
There we go.
somebody wants to go to their
There we
doctor.
go,
I understand.
Councilman Roderick.
I understand. I understand you have a
There we
problem.
go. All right.
Done?
What are you saying about his math?
He has a problem with math. He does.
Problem with comments. Okay. The only thing
That's
I
all,
have.
Council President.
There you go. Obviously, insurance is a hotbed issue, not only for us in the town, you as residents. You know, those that live on the waterfront know that your flood insurance rates are through the roof. Car insurance is up. It's up with us as well as a township. I can speak as a retired individual. I also have spoken to a number of retired police officers, township employees. I interact with them every day. It's changed. It's getting the correct information out there. And when the correct information is put out there, they understand. Will there be bumps in the road? Absolutely, there would be. as any change is going to be, and we will certainly work through them. Nora's been doing a fantastic job. She did a great job last time with the retiree health benefits, again, which directly affects me as a retired individual of the town. Again, to say no to $1 million savings, any rational-minded individual would not vote no for that. I guess you'll be going back to your employer's health plan and waiving the
Does that
township,
mean I
or
get, does that mean I
instead
get
of
a,
getting the
does that mean I
refund
get a
from your
rebuttal
town-
again? Can you
No, I'm
explain
not
to me
done
why
talking,
oh,
Councilman
go ahead.
Roderick.
Okay, so
I said I was going to ask, once you allow me to finish, instead of taking the township health plan that you're touting to save so much money and getting a rebate from your employer and your wife getting a rebate, triple dipping, are you going back to your employer's health plan if you're more satisfied with that?
I don't get a rebate from my employer. You're on the township plan as a retiree.
That's correct.
I know you're
26
looking,
years.
but I will remind you that you still are unwilling to search for other brokers.
That's not
I'll
true.
just, well, I've been here for 4 years, for 2 years you're here, and you guys have not tried to switch brokers. Why is that? Would you like me to elaborate?
We're not going to stop you. Councilman Roderick, you can see whatever doctor, dentist, psychiatrist,
No, you can't.
psychologist that you wish to
can't,
see.
and there are folks
and,
who
they
are,
will
who are
pay for
very
it. Okay.
ill. There
Again,
are
back-
folks
you
who
can't
may be
understand
suffering
common
from
math,
illnesses.
You can't understand common English and common decency. You must be a real gem to be next to in your school classroom. You overspeak everybody, you're disrespectful to everyone, and now it's time to open the public for public comment. Any member of the public wish to be
I know
heard?
you're very frustrated, Kevin. I understand.
Mr. Garin, you're up front.
Ken Gogren, 1204 Fellowship Court. Good seeing you all, you guys, again. I haven't been here in a few months. Been watching the live streams, actually. First thing I did want to talk about is what I used to come here for, and that was the marijuana law ordinance. I know it's kind of in, the brakes have kind of screeched right now. I know we have an election coming up. I'm not really here to preach one way or another. I really actually have a concern, actually, and that is, I think we've all seen in the news lately, Dan, who used to be here, he's over in Ocean County Jail right now. With Bud Hub now out of the picture, a lot of the people that he served were the senior citizens over in Holiday City and such. The concern now is they don't have the place to go to, and now there's kind of a power vacuum that's going to open up where drug dealers are going to come in and try to sell to these elderly people. God knows what they're going to be giving them, and it's going to lead to more issues. Now, I think the election's coming up, and I think that afterwards we really need to get back into this, get something, and I'm not asking for recreational marijuana, excuse me, a recreational ordinance. Let's just get started with a medical program. Let's get something off the ground, because there are medical patients out there that do need this, and they have nowhere to go right now. And especially if we have people over there that are 85, 87 years old, they can't drive up to Eatontown, which is the closest one. They're not going to drive down to Atlantic City. So I think that's something we need to start getting back on track with, whether it be this council or the next council. It's just something to keep in mind. Now, I do want to end on a good note. I know you guys got a few months left, but I actually want to say thank you to Councilwoman Yurick and Councilwoman Maruka for your service for the past few years. I know you guys aren't running again, and you got a few months left. I know I'm not kicking you out the door too soon, but I do want to say thank you to you guys for all your service, and that's all I got for tonight, so thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay. Chris.
It's that time of year again. On behalf of the membership and the officers of the Toms River First Aid Squad, we would like to invite each and every one of you to come and partake in the food and desserts and coffee and everything else before the Halloween parade. Food starts at 4 o'clock, and we'd like to see all of you out there.
Thank you very much. Okay. Gentleman in the back, the aisle.
Mr. Mayor and Council, thank you for the opportunity to speak to you today.
I apologize for interrupting. Just state your name and address for the record.
My name is Joe DeFalco from 16th Street in Toms River. I'm a longtime resident of Toms River and grew up in Toms River schools from kindergarten through high school. I'm here today with the Toms River Warrior Football Organization that we have been a part of for the last 5 years. For many years, we were two separate football teams, the Indians and the Raiders, that played under the American Youth Football banner. This year, we merged together as one team, uniting Toms River under the Toms River Warriors. Among our organization, there are hundreds of kids, coaches, and board members that are all volunteer-based and spend countless hours teaching, encouraging, mentoring, and coaching football and cheer to our kids, boys and girls that range from age 5 to 14 years old. To be exact, we have 60 flag football players, 260 football players from 7 to 14 years old, 120 amazing cheerleaders, and 20 incredible young men that are on the inspiration team that have disabilities that play football, practice once a week, and play a game once a week. I think you would all agree that our children should be a top priority in Toms River, and that the Toms River kids should have the same opportunities some other towns provide for their children. Well, currently, our practices and games are held at Toms River schools, the same schools where I practiced and played over 25 years ago. In fact, football has been a part of Toms River for 60 years, and nothing has changed with a football field for our Toms River youth. We are here today to ask you, Mr. Mayor, and your council, to build a football and cheer complex for the youth of Toms River, complexes like some of our towns in Ocean County already have. Without a facility dedicated to football and cheer, our children are left at a disadvantage. Practices and games are scheduled only at the availability of the schools. Other towns have the ability to make sure that the kids get a full week of practice and get ready for game day. To ensure that they are not canceled due to a holiday, back to school night, or other event scheduled at the same time, we need to build a complex for our kids. Games have to be coordinated and set well in advance, making it hard for makeup games and bowl games at the end of the season. Mr. Mayor and Council, I know all of you up there want to do what's best for Toms River and our kids. And although sometimes we might not agree on everything, like healthcare, I think that you would all agree that we need to do whatever we can for our young boys and girls who call Toms River their home and will for many years. We are asking that you please approve and build a football and cheer recreation complex for Toms River using a portion of the $17 million in surplus that we had from our 2021 budget, and also using some of our money from our open space available, which you know that only on open space can they build recreational parks and recreation centers, which football would count for that. The Toms River Warriors look forward to partnering with you to make this happen by next year. It is imperative that we don't push this off. We need to come together for our kids, get the shovels in the ground quickly, and give our children what they deserve. Is there anyone up there that does not agree with anything that I said?
Not at all.
So when can we look forward to partnering with you and setting this up?
Well, hopefully the voters will approve the 1% tax increase for the open
First
space
step.
fund. That'd be the first step,
Sure.
so they can replenish those coffers.
So I believe the budget had about $2.7 million set from last year without the increase, is that correct?
But what do we have left in that open space fund at the moment? I don't think it's a lot less than that right now.
Yeah, we've pretty much tapped it out. There's a few $100,000 possibly left, but don't forget, we picked up the Boy Scout property this year, which was something that we didn't have budgeted last year. So the reason, and again, the reason that the mayor and council are asking for the 1 cent tax increase is so that we can build up our coffers, give us more bonding ability. And of course, with the real estate boom, the cost of property has gone through the roof. So, we need to act soon on that.
How much of the $17 million surplus is left from the year's budget?
I would have to look into that. I don't check it every day.
So again, we would love to partner with you guys. We would appreciate getting a date on paper to sit down and talk about some of this stuff. Maybe the town engineer to sit down and find some space. I believe Toms River has about 2,700 acres of unused land that might work. That could be a little bit off, but I believe that's what I read. So is it possible to get something scheduled for a meeting or sit down in the next month or so?
I think certainly we can sit down and, stuff starts at a concept plan. I know recently, at least a majority of this council voted for the skate park, Silverton Park to be redone. Most of us, are advocates to improve the parks.
Yeah,
Again, it keeps kids busy and out of trouble. So we'll you know.
Council President?
Yes,
I was going to
Councilwoman.
suggest that perhaps we could put it on the Land Use Committee meeting for November
Okay.
to take a look at what we have
Sure,
available.
we can do that. If you just make sure we have your contact info, give it to the clerk, or I'll get it after the meeting. It should be all right.
Will do. Thank you guys
You're a
very much.
Silverton guy, so I'll probably see you around. Thank you. All right. Does any other member of the public wish to be heard? Mr. Mullen. Good evening.
Hello. Dana Tremolin, 105 Messenger Street, Toms River. First, I want to speak as part of the Education Foundation. I spoke last week at the Board of Ed meeting, and just real quick, I would like to reiterate my thoughts and make it very clear to who's doing what in our town. I wanted to take a moment as a member of the Education Foundation and thank Councilman Terrence Turnbuck for once again looking after the children of our district. He made a public statement at the last town council meeting that instead of wasting money on negative mailers that go, in his words, from mailbox to garbage can, he will take the funds allocated for these flyers and instead make a $5,000 donation to the Toms River Education Foundation, which he founded last year. That money will be donated directly back to the schools as it has in the past. This donation will be going to the district's music department. Mr. Turnbuck continues to support the students and staff of our district, whether it be fighting S2, which he stated, or providing fundraisers to help our children be able to participate in the activities that they deserve to be a part of as they move throughout our schools. Much thanks to Mr. Turnbuck and his continued dedication to our schools and our town. And I would also like to thank Mrs. Howe, who's here, for taking time out of her busy schedule as well to be the only member of our Board of Ed, unfortunately, who takes the time to participate in the Education Foundation. That being said, I know all questions must go through the Council President, so I'd like to ask you, Mr. Gagan, to ask Mr. Horn, hear me out, why he and his party approved the two 12-story buildings and private schools all over downtown Toms River. He didn't. Mr. Horn's not on this council.
That's correct.
Okay. But his opposition, Mr. Roderick, and his party are trying to use that as a strategy to win the Ward 2 election with their flyer that came out last week. And while we are at it, has anyone else seen the disgusting robotext also being sent by Mr. Roderick's camp? I have. The one that was sent on October 23rd from Mr. Roderick's running mate, Justin Lamb, regarding Councilman Turnbuck, who he isn't even running directly against. Or the latest one regarding the school board election, which reads, "End Democratic control of Toms River School Board and stop their radical agenda. Vote Republicans, O'Toole and Loebman, 4 and 5 for school board. You've agreed to receive these messages." I never agreed to receive any of those messages. Remember back in the spring when the Board of Ed started looking into this, and here at the council meetings, Mr. Roderick denied having anything to do with last year's candidates, and they him. And yet, once again, here we are, this time from the two candidates that he is supporting in this year's election. The thing that strikes me as odd is that I know the people who keep receiving these messages, they all have one thing in common. They all used to be part of the old Republican club. But see, here's the thing that I find more obnoxious than anything. I cannot find one single accolade regarding Mr. Roderick or his running mate, Justin Lamb. Instead, we see complaints, videos, and constant rhetoric of lies. I don't understand how people can continue to vote for this. And Mr. Roderick, I'm going to ask you, through the council president, can you please give me something positive that you have done for this town? Out of your words, not your committee, you. I don't see you anywhere. I looked. I did. Trust me. What have you done for this town that would make anybody in your ward want to vote for you again as another Republican run comes to an end?
I have voted in a manner that is consistent with what the voters want me to vote. Unlike Mr. Turnbuck,
You
who
vote the way
excuse me,
they
did you,
want to hear,
if
not
you want to
the
hear
way
my
they want
answer, you'd have to let me speak. Mr. Turnbuck ran on a platform 4 years ago stating that he was going to fight against overdevelopment, he was going to fight against higher taxes, he was going to cut waste, and eliminate positions. Mr. Turnbach has voted to raise taxes by $10 million in a 4-year period. He's voted to approve doubling the number of units up on the Lakewood border. He's voted for every development except, excuse me, I was speaking, I was speaking.
For this.
I have voted in a manner that is consistent with what the voters
I'm
want.
not talking about Mr. Turnbuck. I asked you what
You just asked me, what have I done? I have voted.
And all of it.
I have
comes back to
voted
what Mr.
the way the
Turnbuck
people want me to vote.
But
I
Mr.
don't,
Roderick, everybody knows that taxes have to go up. So you can sit up there and vote no
Really?
1,000 times over.
I don't
Taxes
agree.
have to go
I
up.
don't agree. I don't agree with you.
But in the same manner.
I don't
you're-
agree with you or the rest of the liberals. I don't agree with you.
I'm not a liberal.
I don't think,
I'm not a liberal by any way.
but you're
shape,
here
or form,
stumping
sir,
for Mr. Horn, and you're here stumping for Mr. Turnbach. They're Democrats. You stump for them every time you're here.
Sir, I am a registered independent, so you don't.
But you're
get
stumping for the Democrats, and you're saying that we have to
No,
raise taxes. I don't agree. I don't agree that we should raise taxes. I
voted
think
for your
taxes need to be
constituents
flat.
Last time. I voted for your constituents last
I'm gonna
time.
let her go over
So
time
don't sit up there.
Who are my
Don't-
constituents? I'm sorry.
All the Republicans sitting up there, I voted for them. I'm an independent.
They're not my constituents. I'm lost. I'm lost. Maybe
You.
I'll pause.
Let me,
You
let me go back.
Yeah, go back.
Let me go back.
Go ahead.
I asked you what you did. You told me what he's done. You didn't answer my question,
I
other than
did.
telling me that you voted no on raising
I
taxes.
voted the way the people want
What
me to
is
vote.
your
Mr. Turnbach,
extracurricular activity as
Mr.
far as
Turnbach does
people
not
of
vote
this
in a manner that the people.
Mr. Roderick, once
If you
again,
stop
yelling
speaking
over.
what she's asking, what have you done
What
in
is
the
your
community?
extracurricular
Do you volunteer
activity?
other than blowing up your
What do
two
you-
sons' Boy Scout troops and everything else you touch? What do you do for the
This
community
is
is what she's asking.
Let me explain something to you, Mr. Gagan. Your attempts here tonight are not only transparent, but they're in vain. Okay?
She's here all the
You're in complete.
here
you're-
every
it's
week,
a
so
complete
don't
waste of your
even-
energy.
don't
Yes, I know you're here every week for Mr. Turnbach, and I told you
He is a
that I
smart
voted the way the people want me to vote,
You're not
and that's
even running
why.
against him. You're running me.
You asked me
Justin
what I
Lehman.
did. I told you
And
what I did. I vote
Where's he?
the way the people want me to vote. And I stand on my record, and it's on the cover of every single one of my pieces. So that's my record. If people want flat taxes,
They're all
want people to vote against taxes, vote against development, vote against these things,
What
they will vote for me.
worry about
If they want liberal socialist agendas with higher taxes and,
Sir, you are extremely
then
out of
they'll
your
vote
lane.
for Mr. Horn and they'll vote for Mr.
You are
Turnbach.
extremely out of your lane because Mr. Horn is not even on a council or a committee, and you threw him on the front of your flyer last week that came through in the mail.
Which flyer is that?
Yeah, which one?
Which one?
That should be a problem. That
Why is
there
that a
should
problem?
Be a problem because you can't even keep track of what's going out there. It came out. It was as big as this notebook.
Lots of flyers come out.
Well, yours.
You don't even live in my ward. You live on Messenger Street.
Okay.
So you didn't see any of my flyers. You're here reading from a pad because Mr. Turnbach told you to.
But
And when you're done, he'll tell you about all the great
excuse-
things he does.
First of all, you clearly don't know who I am because nobody tells me
That's
what
the
to
buzzer.
do.
I've answered your question.
No, your running mate, Justin Lamb.
If you want
is
higher
berating
taxes and you
him.
want more development and you want all that, then vote for
what if
Mr.
I
Horn.
stood here and
The
fought
public has
against?
the floor. Let her.
What
No,
have
the
I fought
public is
against?
5 minutes over, and you don't ever manage the public, and you said all
I
this
can't
stuff.
manage you.
You're
You can't
childish.
manage
I'm getting
yourself.
all of these text
So,
messages constantly
because you
from people that say, "Oh my God,
Right now you
who's,
keep
who's the
interrupting. Well,
who's
let
the
Mr.
chairman?"
Mullen
here?
finish speaking.
So if ever
Thank
you
very
would
much,
stop
Mr.
and just
Mullen.
listen to what people are saying instead
I
of
did,
attacking
and I
them.
answered your question.
No, because you're
Somebody has to
condescending.
take this.
I'm not
Here's the
condescending.
thought.
You're condescending.
Here's my thought.
You're over your 5 minutes, and the
no,
council
you're not.
president is not asking you to sit, as he does when somebody's up here
Again, you
doing
keep
his work.
interrupting.
Your running mate, Justin Lamb, is running in what ward, sir? What ward?
One.
Okay.
And you live in
Why did I get
4.
text messages from your running mate about Mr. Turnbull.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you want to see the text message?
Not
I have
really.
it.
You're past your 5 minutes, and this is not campaign time.
Oh,
This is
you're
a
past your 4
council
years.
meeting, a public meeting. It's not meant for campaigning, and Mr. Turnbach should campaign.
You know what?
On his own time, not on the public time.
And you waste time
Yeah.
by sending out
Mrs.
those
Tormolen.
flyers and land. You're the two of you, please. Look.
Mr. Dormoen, thank you very much. Your voice was heard. Unfortunately, everybody lies except one individual, and
I know.
they couldn't tell the truth if a gun was held to their head. Who next would like to be heard? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Paul Williams again, Broad Street. First of all, I just want to say this through the council president, that Councilman Roderick, you are a disgrace to this council. You truly are. I just briefly want to revisit my comments from earlier. I didn't want to really get into a back and forth because I realized that there was a miscommunication about the item. But as all of you know, I am a formerly incarcerated and court-involved person. Many of you may know, if not all of you, may also know that in 2012, shortly after I was released from prison, I incorporated a nonprofit to assist formerly incarcerated men and women successfully transition back into the community. I didn't appreciate and understand the politics that get involved in the prisoner reentry world. I wasn't well versed in running the business, so I just did the work. My phone often still rings, here we are 10 years later, in the middle of the night with somebody in need of some kind of help. They're homeless, they're jobless, they don't have clothes, they don't have food, they don't have these basic essentials. But through the work that I do and the people that I encounter is the world of addiction. I've had a lot of problems in life, and I am so thankful that addiction isn't one of them. But through the work that I do, I've learned much about the drug treatment world and the dark and unfortunate side of it. As many of you may recall, I was often an outspoken person about a private individual who was connected with our then county prosecutor, Joe Coronado. I was the only person to publicly and loudly speak out about them and the world of the drug treatment and how it's about body brokering, but now they call it marketing, and how pop-up drug treatment concerned people often funnel people to certain drug treatment facilities, which then pay them kickbacks. That's the dirty side of the so-called drug treatment industry. That's why it's a $42 billion a year business, industry, excuse me. And that's why I am so sensitive when I see public monies going to after the fact responses to overdoses, drug use, and things of that nature. I'm very sensitive to that. And sometimes I get labeled as very conservative about taxpayer money being used in this manner. But one thing that I do understand, and I find it amazing, is that because drug treatment is required to be paid by insurance companies, it's not outcome-based. And that's why there are so many people pretending to be involved in the drug treatment industry. Because it's not outcome-based. All they need to do is have a head in the bed, and they get paid. The person is there for a little while, and then they leave. And there's a very good chance that they might relapse and start using it again. And it's an ever-revolving cycle. So I don't want to belabor you with all of this, but I just wanted to touch on that again, as you know, because I wasn't sure if my comments were understood, but I wanted to reemphasize to all of you that I'm just concerned about public money being doled out and enriching people and their organizations to do things that aren't resolving the drug use and addiction problem. And that is the core of why people can begin to use and why they relapse. There's unresolved issues, and people have varying degrees of unresolved issues, and that's why some people can quit cold turkey, and that's why some people have a difficulty quitting. It's because it's the level of their unresolved issues. But these drug treatment agencies and the people that promote them don't want to talk about that. And they put on these shiny, glittery things, and they get public officials on board because it sounds good and it makes you feel good. And then there's continued contribution to the $42 billion a year industry. With that being said, anytime any of you would like to speak more about this with me, I would certainly be willing to speak with you on a committee or through a committee with any of you individually. Many of you know how to reach me. And that also includes Councilman Roderick, you know, if you dare to sit down with me and actually have a conversation. But if there's anything that I can do to help you understand the things that you may not understand about the shady side of that industry, I would certainly like to sit down and speak with you. Because it just so happens that a lot of people that are involved in the so-called drug treatment industry often relapse, sometimes they overdose and die. But all along, they're putting out this shiny, glittery aura that, you know, they're about this, you know, treatment and things are so great and they just need public money and they just keep getting it. But it's not helping. It's not resolving it. Police officers, recovery coaches, showing up at an overdose doesn't solve the problem. We need to get to the prevention. Of course, we need to respond and get people help if they're willing to get there. But we need a lot more focus on prevention. And that's it. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for turning your negative into a positive and helping out. Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Ms. Howe?
Hi, Jennifer Howe, Admiral Avenue. I just wanted to come up and say thank you for, let me rephrase that. I want to come up here and say, as a member of this town, I'd like to thank the council members that are reaching out and helping our students. We've had quite a year with the pandemic, quarantines, mandates. It's a lot. And as a parent in the district, and I don't speak as a board member here, I'm speaking as a resident of the town, I'd like to thank our town for everything they're doing. Mr. Turnbach, thank you so much for all the work you are doing with Trenton. I've received flyers that say that people are going to help with S2 and help with funding, but we actually have somebody who's doing it. And I, on behalf of all of my children, I have 5 in the district. I know there's people here with students in the district. On behalf of them, on behalf of our entire district, I want to thank you. S2 has really hurt us, and giving the school a voice and a positive voice in the state is going to change so much for our students. I thank you so much for always having the decency, having the respect for people, the way you speak to them. I've watched you speak to people in Trenton, and even if you don't agree with them, the way you handle yourself, that's how you get things done. You get things done by being kind, by being respectful, and for knowing the facts. And I appreciate what you've done. The students of the town, thank you so much, of all the towns, the whole district. Mrs. Williams here, I'm sure we'll be happy to see Mr. Doring next time when he talks about the budget, that he's not going to lose it, because it's been stressful. So I want to thank you for all your hard work with Trenton. I know you wear a lot of hats, and being an advocate for our students is another one of them, and I appreciate everything you've done. And as a Republican, I wish the council elections on the ballot, I wish it didn't go down a line, because I feel like when it goes down the line, no one pays attention to who they're even voting for anymore. And unfortunately for this country, that is what happens. No one pays attention to anyone that's running, ever. They just vote down their line. Vote down my line. It doesn't matter if I've ever been at a meeting. It doesn't matter if I even know what S2 means. It doesn't matter if I even know where to go for a meeting. I'm going to run, and because I'm in a certain party, I'm going to win, or I'm going to get close, and I don't have to do one single bit of work or research or take any time, because I'm on a certain line and I'm going to win. And I don't know if there's any way to ever change that for a town, but I wish there was, because we need the right people to run a town. We don't, as a town, you don't vote on big, items as like abortion and things like that. It's like what's happening in your town. And I think it shouldn't matter if you're Democrat or Republican. I'm a Republican. I've been a Republican since the day I was born. I mean, my father, God bless him, he was, a strong Republican. So is my mother. But it doesn't matter when it comes to your town. It doesn't. It matters who is going to work day in and day out. And I wish every Republican that supported Mr. Turnbach would put a sign on their lawn and say, this is the man for our ward. and this is the man for our town, because that's who's getting things done, not everyone down the line, because people down the line haven't been doing a lot for our town. And I feel like it needs to change, and we could change small. You start at your local, and it moves up. So I would hope that any Republican who's just voting down the line, pay attention to what those people have actually done, and then cast your ballot. So thank you so much. Have a good night.
Thank you. Any other member of the public wish to be heard? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close public comment.
Seeing
Motion
none,
to
I
close
move
public
to close
comment?
public- Second.
I'm sorry, who made the first motion?
Mr. Lutano.
Motion made by Councilman Latano, seconded by Councilman Yurek to close public session.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye. And there's no need for executive session, so I'll take a motion to end the meeting.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Shouldn't she be expelled from your club now?
Most of us are good people. Most of us.